What are you doing to save planet Earth? You need to at least reduce, reuse, recycle, and consider renewable energy. Tesla has a new car and a power wall that can store energy by day to use at night. Wind and water power are hitting stride, and green space should be premium. Don't throw bottles in Lake Michigan, and please don't pollute the parks. Nature is to enjoy, not to destroy. So celebrate shifting sands and planet Earth. Go green on CounterPoint with Gerard McClendon. Thank you for joining us on CounterPoint. Hey, give me a call at 844-777-9311. Tweet me at GerardMC and send Facebook comments to CounterPoint Gerard. Later in the show, producers of the PBS film Shifting Sands, Pat Wisniewski and Lee Botts, will join me. But now at the Counterpoint are Melanie Moore from Friends of the Parks, Michael Thomas from Greenpreneur Radio, and Kim Swift from the Indiana Dunes. Thank you so much for being here on Counterpoint. I appreciate you guys. You know what? Let's first break the ice here, all right? Are tree huggers weird? Does anybody want to just start us off?
Well, you said break the ice. It's enough CO2 doing that already. Enough ice breaking already.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tree huggers, are they weird people, or is there more of an acceptance now, or is that term even derogatory? Who wants to start us off, Kim?
I don't think we're weird. I think we're pretty normal people. Looking at the three of us, we don't have extra heads or anything, and I think it's becoming a little more cool and hip to be green these days.
Admit, Kim, that you're a tree hugger?
I do. I'm proud of it. I can't hide it very well with having to wear this uniform all the time.
This is true. Melanie, you were raising your hand.
I'm a closet tree hugger, and so you're outing me, but it's okay. But the trees actually are the key to reducing CO2 emissions. If we just plant trees like crazy, we can actually get some of that carbon out of the atmosphere and into trees and convert it into oxygen. And so they say you're a tree hugger and it's supposed to be derogatory, but trees are actually the secret to curbing climate change.
Yeah. Michael, you run the Greenpreneur, and you have been known as one of the biggest African-American tree huggers in the world. So
I think that's an oak tree I'm hugging.
Are you a strange person, or is this something that should be a part of our daily lives, tree hugging?
Well, I'm pretty strange to want fresh air and fresh water. That's pretty strange. I think it's a pretty strange ask, but as far as hugging the tree, we want to do more planting of the trees, but I think with the exception of us three, there's way more people that are way more tree huggers than they actually know. So I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great time now, and a lot more people are becoming more conscious.
Why is the environment so important just to our daily lives? Now, it's easy to isolate the three of you and say we got a Greenpreneur here, we have someone from the parks here, and we have someone from the National Lakeshore here, but everyday quality of life for someone in a big city that's surrounded by concrete. Why is the environment important?
Well, I can start off with that. I think parks are really important for people for their mental health as well as their physical health. Obviously, as Melanie mentioned about needing trees for clean oxygen and clean water for our health, but it also I think having those kinds of green spaces so close to where we live really makes our daily existence that much better and gives us places to go outside, take our children for a walk. And I think, we need it on, all kinds of levels to be happy.
To take it a step further, we believe that trees are the lungs of a city. We're a little more urban in the Chicago area where Friends of the Parks jurisdiction is, but we believe it's the lungs of the city. And actually research has showed that children who are exposed to just a little bit of nature actually it has the effect of, it's more effective than actually Ritalin and having children to focus. And so there's actually educational implications for having exposure to nature.
We don't always look at the bio or the chemical reactions that take place from being in an unhealthy green-starved environment or a very healthy environment that has greenery within it. And I think oftentimes, and we're becoming more aware now, but I think we try to categorize being green, going green, reusing, recycling as one, something that's peculiar, and two, something that doesn't make sense economically. You know, so it's like Michael Thomas, I throw a bottle away, so what? Michael Thomas, you greenpreneur, I can't make any money. I can't save any money by being green. How dare you wear that green shirt and be the greenpreneur?
Right.
So talk to me. Make it of value to me, Michael.
Right. Well, it's much bigger than that. And now businesses and companies, was where we focus at from the entrepreneur standpoint, are seeing the added benefit of being more sustainable. Obviously, in an economy that's not growing like it should be growing, most of the growth is going to come from internal and being more efficient. Reducing their energy, their carbon footprint is also beneficial for them from a tax standpoint. So businesses are now looking at it as an opportunity to grow. So it's beyond just hugging a tree, it's becoming good business now.
It's good business to be green.
Yeah.
So I know that people are experimenting with gray water,
Yeah.
reusing the water in your home that doesn't
Correct.
have to be used for drinking. People are looking at wind and solar more now. How can a person save money, Michael, by using a means of energy that's kind of off the grid?
Well, you said a couple of things at the same time. You've got solar. You talked about the power wall at the top of the hour, where you store the power, use it at night. When you do that, the energy opportunity for that person is reduction, right? And then when you have a lot of individuals who are demanding power, say we have a real hot summer day, a lot of people are demanding power for air conditions, that could put a strain on the grid. So there could be blackouts and temporary blackouts, which means people lose food. So it's a lot of other bigger issues that come with the huge demand, and then the CO2 effect from burning coal in order to supply that power. So when you go up the food chain, you go through the process. The solar opportunity is one, to reduce the cost for the individual over the long haul. Eventually it'll reduce costs for them.
You know what I marvel at is the power and the grace and majesty of free energy. The fact that when we wake up in the morning, there's that big old sun out there, a ball of burning fire.
It just keeps showing up.
It keeps showing up,
Yeah.
and it doesn't charge us anything. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
You know, we're not getting charged for that beautiful sunlight. We don't get charged for the beautiful ebb and flow of the tides. We don't get charged for that. And so the question is, why don't we respect that? Let me go to Kim. What's the importance, Kim, of our dunes and our lakes?
Well, you know, speaking of economics, I think that's a good tie-in a lot of ways. And, you know, on one hand, parks are great for people personally, but it also makes a lot of economic sense. You know, businesses, whether from tourism, hotels, restaurants, and things that all kind of come around with parks, because we have 2 million visitors that come to Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore every year. And, you know, when they come, they also need to have a place to, you know, maybe get some food, maybe hopefully stay overnight, buy gas, and get other amenities that, you know, to enjoy their trip here. So the fallout from that is really incredible. And, you know, we're just one of 410 parks. We know, you know, in Pullman National Monument that just opened up in Chicago, that's another thing that they're seeing. They've had new businesses open up just there in the last year, a little cafe and so forth. And so it's really great to see when a community kind of comes around a park and can grow with it. And
Kim Swift, your title?
I'm an education manager
At the
Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore.
So let's clarify the rumor, fact, fiction, or myth. We have a national lakeshore here.
Yes.
And I hear it's one of the largest in the United States.
Well, it's by size, it's not that big, but in terms of biodiversity and in terms of kind of the incredible different kinds of plants and stuff that you can find there, we're highly ranked, we think, and we have a lot of visitors that come here for such a small park. We stretch between Gary and Michigan City here in Northwest Indiana, all hugging the lakeshore. So we have a far reach in a lot of ways.
So we're hugging trees, we're hugging lake shores. Let's try to hug policy. Melanie Moore. So Melanie, Friends of the Parks, sometimes controversial, at other times mellow. So tell me what you do at Friends of the Parks in terms of policy.
So I'm the director of policy. Our mission is to protect and preserve parks and open spaces. So I have several different initiatives that I work on, one of which is our Last 4 Miles initiative, where we're trying to have continuous lakefront trail system from, well, there's 2 miles on the north end right near Evanston, and then there's 2 miles on the south end close to the Indiana border. So we're trying to connect all of that as part of one of our initiatives. And it can tie us right to Indiana. If people want to ride their bike out to the Indiana dunes, they can once the trail system is upgraded. So.
Melanie, what makes that a policy issue though? So you're saying that we just can't be someone who loves the environment and then just expect politicians to do the right thing, or there actually has to be a Melanie Moore to be in the mix to add a policy element?
Yeah, so the work that I do would be proposing policies for like the city of Chicago or for our partner, the Chicago Park District, to say, hey, we would like to see a connected, contiguous lakefront trail system. And so that's what. So anytime there's a proposal, that would be something that comes from the municipality or one of the. And Cook County is very heavy in jurisdictions, yes. But one of those policies or something to that nature, or with the Park District, as that. Those are the types of policies that I deal with.
So Friends of the Parks take care of all of the parks within your jurisdiction? You're fighting for those parks?
Yes, the 581 parks in the city of Chicago. We also partner with the Forest Preserve, and there are several preserves in the suburban areas as well.
Do you ever have situations where people try to encroach on park space? And I'm not talking about anything large. Let's just take a small example of there's park space. It's in an area that's up and coming. It's thriving, but it's park space. I'm going to keep saying, I'm reiterating this park space, but the land looks just so sweet and so beautiful. I'd love to put a building there, but it's park space. Do you ever deal with situations like that?
Well, in a city, there's always pressure to grow, and there's pressure for development. And so there are times when people may decide, especially policymakers, that, hey, this is available land, and they may want to build on it. So we are not in favor of that type of thing. I'm not going to belabor it too much, but we do see sometimes encroachment, and we oppose that. We want a park space. Well, Chicago is unique in that it was one of the planned cities, and so we had opportunity to plan out Chicago after the Great Chicago Fire. And so there's a plan for our city, and so it includes open space and the loveliness of the lakefront, and so that continues over to Indiana with our neighbors. But our city is unique in that we have that lovely lakefront that's accessible to everyone, and so we like our lakefront to be forever open and free.
Good, good. So, Greenpreneur.
Yes, sir.
I want to make some money.
Yeah.
I'm not a tree hugger, and I don't care about wind and solar and national lake shores. I just want to get paid. Talk to me about Greenpreneur Radio and what you do. What's your impetus? Why are you so vehement about getting this message out on a weekly basis?
Well, one of the things is from an environmental standpoint, sometimes things just make sense. And when I say make sense, clean air just makes sense. Yeah. So from a business standpoint, an entrepreneur standpoint, we bring in viewers, listeners from all over the world who are subject matter experts in their particular space, from transportation, economics, all the way from food. We talk about GMO. So we really talk about the lifestyle, not just really on an energy segment, but looking at everything from a lifestyle standpoint. And we do that every Sunday on WVON and iHeartRadio from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we reach out all over the world and we talk in depth for an hour about the opportunity. not the limitations, but the opportunity, and really raising the awareness that there are solutions out here that exist. They already exist. There's no need to pull them out of the sky. They already exist. But giving them a platform to talk about that and the opportunity to expose that to more people at a faster rate.
Yeah. Let's talk about education, and that's what you do, Kim Swift. You are Director of Education. So what do you educate on? Why do I need to know what you can teach?
Well, we educate about a lot of different environmental issues, but usually they all specifically come back to the dunes and to national parks, and what's special about national parks, what's special about this national park, and giving folks those opportunities to enjoy it and learn about it. And we truly believe that people are not going to save, take care of, preserve something that they don't love. And so and how do you come to love something? You have to know it and understand it and feel like you're a part of it and that it's yours to take care of. And so our job is to kind of go along with that awareness, but to hopefully build from awareness to having folks care for and feel passionate about this place that's around us.
Well, and counterpoint to that, but you talk about education, and that's what we found ourselves on radio doing, because a lot of people lead with non-factual, mainly opinions. So it's a lot of opinions out there, but it has no factual base. So we wanted to get to subject matter experts and really, again, bring those individuals and give them a platform, because traditional media being snippets and just blurbs, now we're able to go in depth for an hour and say, okay, what about GMOs?
Yeah.
What about Tesla's car? What is that going to do for you? How does that help you bigger than just reducing your CO2? You're saving when gas was almost $5 a gallon in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
Those individuals were saving. It was 8 cents a gallon. So it's an economic thing at the end of the day.
Right.
And Tesla's pretty hot.
It's a nice car.
Me. It's a pretty sexy.
Nice car.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll be hugging that tree.
Definitely. And it's interesting because they have the Tesla that's over $100,000, the Cabriolet, the convertible.
Oh, somebody's been shopping, huh?
No. Window shopping.
Okay.
And every time I go on the website, my wife says, you better get off that website.
Right.
They have the one that's around $65,000 to $80,000, the Model S, and then they have that brand new Model 3 out, $35,000 going to be out 2017. And so you're absolutely right. Every time I see someone with a car, whether it's a Nissan Leaf, which is an electric car that will go 100 miles before you have to charge it. You've got the Chevy Bolt that's out now, which is gas and electric. And of course, Honda and Toyota have the hybrids, and then of course Tesla having the all-electric cars. I'm kind of jealous when I see that license plate. It'll have a little number on it, and the license plate will say ELE on it, or ELEC, or just EL, because they don't have to go to a gas station.
And don't have to do emissions tests. Yeah. Did we just go there?
That's right.
My neighbor has a Tesla. His license plate says no gas.
Oh, you gotta love that. You gotta love that. Let's talk about parks. I have a fond relationship with parks. Played Little League baseball, which means I had to have wonderful parks when I was 8 years old. Used to go to Maywood Park and play basketball, kickball, volleyball. I have a fond relationship with parks. When I see neighborhoods where there are children and no parks, it frustrates me to no end. Or when I see people trying to encroach upon or make concrete out of those parks. Melanie, what do we do with that? I mean,
well, since it's appropriate, since it's Earth Day, Friends of the Park actually hosts the largest Earth Day cleanup in the Midwest. In the Midwest, got a little ambitious there. And so we'll be out in the parks. We'll be doing cleanups, and we'll also do tree plantings at certain locations. And so we believe in improving parks, and part of that is keeping it clean and being good stewards of the parks, and also educating the next generation of stewards coming after us. And so if we want to consume, and the world gets so bad that there's no more world, it's like, that's not good. We want to focus on sustainability, have a sustainable world. And so, we go out Earth Day, and we host the biggest Earth Day in the Midwest, and we clean those parks up. They're spotless by the time we leave, and there's more trees when we leave, and we leave it better than we find it.
Yeah.
And so it's very important, and for the quality of life of people as well. And also, when you talked about a little bit about economics, it's found that areas around parks actually have higher property values from a real estate standpoint. So it can be beneficial in that from a solely from a real estate standpoint. But we don't want it to go too far in that. We've seen along areas like the 606, which is the elevated bike trail, that the property values have gotten to the point where they've gotten too high, and the community members are seeing pressure and not being able to stay in their neighborhoods. And so we are for parks, but we also want it to be balanced in that. We want to make sure people can stay in their neighborhoods and enjoy that quality of life, so they can play Little League and run and exercise. We also do a partnership with the Rahm Emanuel Chicago Plays program. So we did research that found that that there's certain areas that the playground equipment had gone beyond its life cycle, and it was dangerous. And so we want to make sure that children were safe. And so there were we identified 300 parks that needed renovated playground equipment. And so we've partnered with our partners, the Chicago Park District. They're almost done. They're actually going to finish early, but they go out. We help with the community outreach to identify which playground equipment that the community wants to replace the new playground with. And so it's a really great program. Children do better. They're actually healthier because they're more active. They're doing research now. From the preliminary data, children who are near renovated equipment, those kids are more active, and which means they're healthier.
Yeah, this is, I'm excited right now. Let me tell you why. Because it seems like the late 90s and early 2000s had this massive domination influx of video game, I'm just gonna stay in the house culture. You know, it's like, dude, your child's 10 years old. Why isn't your child out playing kickball or freeze tag? I'm dating myself. You know, or not hide and go seek, hide and go seek. You know, and so now it's good to have parks because it's good to have a good dunes until you get out and play in the sand, play in the grass. Maggie Daly Park.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, wow, right in the middle of skyscrapers, you have this park that's drawing all of these children. They got slides, they got play area. It's just unbelievable. You want to make a point? I'm sorry, Kim.
I was just going to say, we like to call it green time rather than screen time, and you know, try to advocate for that. And I was thinking too, we opened up a new nature play zone, we called it, and I'm thinking, Melanie, that you guys have some at the city parks too, where areas where they're a little more natural, they're not so much you know, built up playgrounds, and we've seen a really great feedback from the community. We have one at our Douglas Center, and so this year we're going to add 2 more in our campground. And the idea is that, you know, it's just like letting kids go be kids outside and play. They can climb trees, dig holes, play in the sand, build a fort, do the kinds of stuff that, you know, I did when I was a kid, and it's hard to find places where you can do that now.
It's nothing like being a kid coming home dirty.
Yes.
That was the best, man. Fingernails dirty.
Depending on who had to wash the clothes.
Or the hair. In my mom's case, it was the hair. She's like, this child, what has she done to her hair?
Right.
I love that. You mentioned Douglas. Where is that located?
That is in the west part of the park, in the Miller section of Gary, and it's kind of at our gateway, our western gateway to the National Lake Shore. So it's right on Lake Street, and we have an environmental education center there. So we host a lot of school groups, but we also host just families, and we have our little nature playground right in there too. So it's been a big hit. It's been open for 2 years now, and we've gotten a lot of really good feedback from families that like to come.
You know, I could talk with you guys all day, and it's crazy how fast 30 minutes goes, but I'm gonna need some closing comments. You know, Greenpreneur, Michael Thomas, I gotta ask you this, man. And I've listened to your show before.
And you've been on there.
It's intense. I've never seen a man put up his fist and be so serious about being green. And it's not easy being green.
No, it ain't easy.
Especially in the city. It's not easy. So, greenpreneurism. Name 1 or 2 businesses, just quickly, where a person can make money and thrive by being green.
Well, one, solar. Obviously, there's opportunity in the solar space. there's going to be a lot of great opportunity as it relates to Lake Michigan within Chicago and looking at water infrastructure. There's going to be a lot of opportunities coming down that path as far as where it goes with gray water, storm water, things you talked about and that nature. But just the bottom line from a CFO's position, a chief financial officer's position, a company is also when they're moving in, they're looking at schools because they're employees, they're looking at parks, they're looking at all these things in order to have a quality lifestyle. So the business aspect of it, with a lot of companies still not growing how their traditional growth looks, they're going to be looking internal now to see where they can be energy efficiency, where they could be more efficient, and that kind of thing. So that's where they're going to really see their savings, which is for them, $1 saved is $1 earned.
There's this whole subculture now of brand new thermostats that I'm seeing in homes, where the thermostat gets to know the people in the house. That's intense. You know, I've got to wrap things up here. Melanie, what's at the forefront of policy in parks?
Well, one thing that's at the forefront is sustainable parks. And so as climate change progresses, there's going to be more different events and a lot of water. You talk about the water quality. There's going to be more raining and more flooding. And so having parks that are sustainable and that can move with increased water and increased environment, different environment as our climate changes and we get warmer and warmer, that are able to still thrive and make it available open space for people to have recreation or just passively relax as well.
That is cool. That is so cool. I appreciate you two being here. You know, Kim, you're staying with me though, Kim. I got to keep you another half hour. You know what? Hey, do you reuse, reduce, and recycle? I need you to voice your concerns, and we the people call and leave a message at 844-777-9311. You can tweet me at GerardMC and send Facebook comments to CounterPoint Gerard. We'll be back shortly. Tweet me, post on Instagram, or send me a message on Facebook. Let's start the conversation. Your voice is important on CounterPoint. Welcome back to CounterPoint. Hey, when was the last time you visited a park or one of the Great Lakes? Do you know how important fresh water is in our everyday lives? Kim Swift stays with us, and the producers of PBS film Shifting Sands, Pat Wisniewski and Lee Botts, join us to talk about how Lake Michigan and the sand dunes have led to the survival of industrial communities. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for coming on CounterPoint. I appreciate it.
We're glad to be here.
You know what? I'm going to start with you, Lee, since you said you're glad to be here. First of all, I understand that you just love Lake Shore. So first of all, tell me what is your impetus and title in Shifting Sands, this documentary, and why do you love Lake Shore so much?
I grew up in the Dust Bowl in western Oklahoma and Kansas, and came to Chicago in 1949 so that my husband could go to the University of Chicago. And we lived in Hyde Park on the south side of Chicago. And when I saw Lake Michigan, I could not believe all that water. And I've never gotten over that. And it turned out that I then became, in many different roles, a very active environmentalist, including organizing the first environmental organization aimed at saving the Great Lakes, called the Lake Michigan Federation, now called the Alliance for the Great Lakes, because it's all over the United States part of the Great Lakes and Canada. And then I moved, when I retired, I also along the way, I had several jobs, different kinds of jobs, but they all had to do with the environment. Yeah. And so then when I retired, I moved out full-time to the dunes. And the inspiration for producing the documentary was the fact that we have some very important anniversaries in 2016.
Yeah.
And issues related, things happening related to the environment.
So
then I met Pat.
This is good. Then you met Pat. So see, I'm loving this already because it's obvious that you are very adamant and serious about the environment. From Oklahoma, you come to Chicago area, you see this huge Lake Michigan, and say, I have to be involved in making sure that people respect this. Pat, you got guts, okay? Let me tell you why you got guts, Pat, because you've done a documentary. You and Lee have done a documentary along with your crew called Shifting Sands. Why even do this?
Well, it's a really important story, especially into this day and age. You know, I had finished one called Everglades of the North with co-producers, and then Lee asked me to come on this project, and it opened my eyes to so many things. I live in the region, had no idea how wonderful and biodiverse. I mean, I love the Indiana Dunes for going to swim and have a nice beach, but I had no idea the amount of biodiversity in the Indiana Dunes.
And don't forget the history.
And the history.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And the stories, for example, Greg Mueller from the Chicago Botanical Society says in our documentary that there are more plant species in the Indiana Dunes than all of Great Britain together. Imagine that. And very few people know it. It's been called the birthplace of ecological science in North America.
And see, this is why your role, Kim, is so important. So that fact right there, a lot of people just didn't know that, all right? It's your job, Kim, to tell people of this. How are you involved with this project?
Well, I've been working with Lee for many years. She's also helped to found a residential environmental education camp we have in the park called the Dunes Learning Center. And so, and that's our job, is to try to turn that light bulb on to people of all ages, but especially children. We have a really great opportunity with this national park, I think, because it's so accessible to so many, hundreds of thousands of school children that live right around here. And it's actually written in our legislation for this national park that we will do education. And so it just made sense that, we've been doing education with the dunes since Henry Chandler Coles, when he, the father of ecology, as Pat mentioned. He was a University of Chicago scientist, and he would bring his students here to the dunes, and education's been taking place ever since. And this movie is just another opportunity to educate folks about how beautiful this place is.
It's nothing like going to the beach, nothing like going to the dunes and just, sitting there in the sand and just taking a big deep breath, and you realize how small you are in that moment. And when you go to Chicago's lakefront, or when you go to Indiana's lakefront, you kind of feel bad if you don't go often, because it's so magnificent. It's unbelievable to see the dunes, to see the sand, the beautiful water. And when you mention the species, that's what I'm talking about. So let's talk about Shifting Sands a little bit. It's all about Earth Day. It's all about, as Lee Botts said, enjoying and hugging the environment. Lee Botts, what is so historical and beautiful about doing Shifting Sands and the lakefront that we have here in Northwest Indiana?
What is historical about it is that this area literally is known as the birthplace of ecology in North America. And there was a scientist who came to the dunes named Henry Chandler Coles. And there's as we say in the film, it may be a myth, but supposedly he was coming on the train. And remember that this is not only the location of this beautiful park and these natural resources, but a great concentration of industry.
Yes.
And they exist together in the park. And one of the things the film addresses is how they exist together. And increasingly, instead of being in opposition to each other, they are working together, and there are emerging that hope for the future. I'm very worried about the future and the environment, as you and many others are also. But the hope that lies in the fact that increasingly there is not conflict, there are partnerships emerging between unlikely sources to work together to preserve and restore the environment for the future.
Okay, Lee Bosch, you're going to start a fight up in here because there's a lot of people out there that would say, don't you dare get close to my lakefront. I don't want industry out there. And then you got industrialists saying, forget about all you tree huggers. I need that fresh water for my steel mill. I need that fresh water. So Lee, Pat, they can coexist? What are you talking about here?
They coexist, and one of the wonderful pieces of history about this region is that the most environmental law, when the environmental movement exploded and new regulation of use of the environment came, the most important law was developed by a man who had grown up in the dunes. He saw what happened with industry, and it became his professional goal to promote new ways to address those issues. And his name was Linton Keith Caldwell. He was better known as Keith. His father was head of the school system in Hammond. Caldwell School was named for his father. And the National Environmental Policy Act has two very important principles. One is to evaluate the consequences of new development and the public being allowed to participate in that process. That's what is known as environmental impact analysis.
I got to move to Pat here, Lee, because we're talking about living history here. You know, this isn't something that happened a long time ago and doesn't affect today. It directly affects today. It directly affects Gary, Portage, East Chicago, Hammond, Michigan City. It affects people outside of Lake Porter and LaPorte counties as well. It affects people in Cook County. This is huge. So let me ask you this, Pat. Is this history missing from our textbooks? It seems like someone who just wanted to make a lot of money or someone who just had a bleeding heart for this knowledge, it seems as if they would write textbooks. Maybe it'll come out of Shifting Sands, but textbooks, is this missing from the history?
Well, I think the combination is missing from the history. And that's one of the things that Linton Keith Caldwell brought together, because he created the School of Environmental and Public Affairs, because he saw that maybe the public affairs segment was involved in development, but they didn't understand the environment. And so he wanted to be sure that future leaders of our area, our country, had that kind of environmental intelligence, let's say. Lee taught me the meaning of sustainability, and she described it as 3 prongs. You know, we all need jobs. I grew up in the steel mills. Yes. My fourth generation steel industry. So I grew up in this region. Steel mills were the source of livelihood.
Gotta have a job.
Gotta have a job. The other section, the other prong was environment. If we don't have clean water and clean air, none of us are going to exist. If we don't take care of the earth and we destabilize it, nobody's going to have a job or a life. The other one was social justice and quality of life. It has to be fair to everybody, and everybody has to have that quality of life. If we could meet those 3 prongs of sustainability, then we can have a good earth for all.
Jobs, environment, social justice.
Exactly.
And so this leads me to, and before I come back to Kim, Pat, what did you learn? What was fascinating about, I'm sure there were dozens of things that were fascinating, but what's one thing that you said, wow, I am so glad we did this documentary? What's that one thing?
Well,
that
actually, there's 2.
There's 2? Okay, I'm gonna let you have 2.
Okay, real quick. Somebody told me this area was ground zero for sustainability because we had the largest industrial hub in the world at one time, some of the most biodiverse region in the country, and people who came from all over the world to live and work and enjoy life here. So if we can make things happen here, we can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this microcosm. But out of this microcosm, the second thing I learned was amazing things came that not only affected this region, but affected the world. And 2 of those are the roots of the Nature Conservancy. So a student of Henry Chandler Cole's, Victor Shelford, who, they started the Ecological Society of America, which eventually there was a spin-off to create the Nature Conservancy. So the roots of that largest environmental organization in the world came from here. The National Environmental Policy Act, which is the largest, most emulated environmental legislation in the world, used in over 100 countries, came from the idea of Lytton Keith Caldwell seeing some of the destruction of the dunes and not being able, he wanted to write a law that would stop that from ever happening again. And that went on. So to me, this has been a fertile ground. There has been conflict, there, you know, but now they're learning to work through that conflict.
Let's talk about Nature Conservancy, Kim Swift. The power of sustainability and nature conservancy. Why is that important?
Well, I think, you know, we've been talking about, for the last little while here about how important it is to have clean places to live, clean places to play, and take our children outside, and also, you know, having that economic sustainability that comes with having these places nearby and in our homes, or near our homes. So I think that's kind of where, you know, why that this is so important.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because two things come to mind. How we take for granted how much fresh water we have. That's good fresh water. The industrialists knew how important that water was. Elbert Gary knew how important that water was, right? Before founding Gary, Indiana, and before building the first steel mill, all right? But we have to get day-to-day folks to respect that fresh water. I wish I could bottle you three ladies up and take you to Flint, Michigan, because this is the kind of story, ladies, especially you lead bots, as you're, you know what, I got a nickname for you. You're a militant environmentalist. You are sick. So. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, fist in the air, because if I take the three of you to Flint, and we go to Michigan State's legislators, and we go to Flint, Michigan's mayor, you know, we show them this documentary. You know, how dare you switch the water supply in Flint and run it through some pipes filled with lead? You know what I'm saying? When you got fresh water right near, that's frustrating to me, you know? And so I think this documentary is going to grow legs. It really is. Lee, let's talk to us about the importance of environmentalism and all of that fresh water. Every time I look at Lake Michigan, I'm like, thank God we have this lake, because the rest of the world, they envy us.
Well, they envy us, but it has required a lot of effort to develop the system for regulating use of the environment, which is what was involved in the environmental movement. And that's where a lot of conflict has occurred and is still occurring between environmentalists who want to protect the natural world and the economic interests that need to use it. But what is happening here in Northwest Indiana, which I have seen since I retired, along the way I started environmental organizations, I worked in government, I worked in education. I worked on that issue from many perspectives. Yeah. But it's really the general public that has to understand and appreciate what is happening here. But we actually have more and more partnerships between these conflicting interests. It's happening some other places, but it's really happening on large scale and pervasive. It's not just an example here and an example there. It's becoming the way people live and operate in Northwest Indiana.
This is good, because the question that's in my head right now is, why, as just an everyday citizen, why should I watch the documentary, stay tuned, Shifting Sands? What's my purpose for even watching when I've got 340 other channels on my cable server? Why should I watch Shifting Sands? I'm going to deal with you two last. I'm going to Kim first. Kim, why should somebody watch Shifting Sands?
Well, number one, I think it's just a really well done movie, and so it's fun and entertaining. But also on a deeper level, I think it speaks to, it speaks to our local place, right? And I think that's sometimes missing from education. You mentioned about education before, why it's important to tell the story. It's because, we oftentimes talk about things that are happening, far away. We got to save the rainforest in South America. Well, actually, this is a story about how people can actually make a real difference in their community. And so that's inspirational. And I think that's important for folks to see how everyday citizens can make a difference, can change the course of history with simple acts, whether it's a career path that you choose, whether it's deciding to sell a piece of land or not, or taking care of your own backyard in a better way. You can really make a big impact. And that's good for people to hear.
Pat, it's gonna be, Pat, it's Earth Day. I'm trying to convince people, you gotta watch this Shifting Sands documentary. I'm gonna be watching, you need to be watching. Pat, why? Why watch Shifting Sands?
Well, one, it's jam-packed with local history and an amazing story. Two, it's a microcosm of what we're all dealing with on a global scale.
Lee, wanna add to that? Why watch Shifting Sands?
Well, I agree with both of my neighbors here. I'm forever explaining to people about the Dunes Learning Center, that it's where we have had about 100,000 kids so far come and stay 2.5 days and 2 nights in the dunes. And we get feedback from the principals and teachers that it is improving the capacity to learn of the students. And so what I'm always explaining is, it's not about learning about the names of the birds and the trees. It's all about relationships.
Yes.
And we tried to make that the major purpose of the documentary, is to demonstrate relationships right here where everybody lives. So we have, this year is the 200th anniversary of the state of Indiana, the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service, and the 50th anniversary of the first national park in an urban area to be created. And the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore is an amazing national park created in conjunction with, and one of the greatest concentrations of industry, certainly in North America, the world.
This is profound. Coming back to you, Pat. How long did it take to make this documentary?
3 years. It took us 3 years, and I came on. Lee had already started the documentary along with Rhonda Siegel, another producer, and then I came on. Tom Desch, another producer, Brian Callies, Paul Nelson, Matthew Keene, and we also have somebody writing a book, Ken Schoon. But 3 years, really, because we interviewed about 50 people. Now, they won't all make it into the documentary, but we'll have probably another hour of special features on the DVD where we can go more in depth. But we really went up and down. It was a community effort. Yeah. That's another thing.
Yeah.
We didn't make this by ourselves. We went out to the community, and the community told us their story.
Yeah.
And so it really was a community project.
This is good. It's funny. People love to get married out at the pavilion. In Gary, Indiana, and Miller, they love to, because it's so gorgeous, especially on a nice, bright, sunny day, and that wind is coming off the lake. The photographer can take beautiful pictures from that. It's just magnificent, and we have to have a lot more respect for that, because if we didn't have it, we would wish we did. Isn't that interesting? It reminds me of Winnie the Pooh. Tigger says, Winnie, why do you love honey so much? He said, Tigger, it is not the honey that I like. It's the moment before I taste the honey. That's what I like. And so often we like things that we cannot have. And once we have them, we take them for granted. I think Shifting Sands is going to shift people's mindset on how important our lakefront is. Let's talk about woman hours and man hours of putting this documentary together. It's a labor of love, isn't it?
It definitely is.
Because you got to get clearances.
I don't have any idea.
Yeah, you got to get E&O insurance. You got to get clearances. If you may have the perfect photo to use, but you got to find out who owns it. Talk about that process.
Exactly. Well, we have one photo where A reporter in Chicago Tribune had dipped his hand into the shipping canal and came out, and it was just completely full of oil. And it was it started off this whole kind of revolution in the 60s for the environment against pollution. That one image, you know, just to find it and authorize use is like $1,500 to cost of the project to use one photo that was an iconic image. So there's a lot of costs. You have to raise money. You have to be a fundraiser. You have to be, you have to get all your legal releases. You have to get permission. You have to interview people. You have to research. You have to go through hundreds of archives and find all this incredible old archival footage and information. And then, you know, our editor takes 200 hours of footage that was shot and condenses that to a 1-hour program. So imagine all the hours of going through all that to shift it into one story.
And sometimes just shaving off 15 or 30 seconds is hard. It's very difficult when you're filmmaking,
Very
you know?
much so.
And so what do you do to get that $1,500 photo? Do you just pay for it, or do you say, hey man, can I not pay for it and it be covered under fair use? Oh, or will my E&O insurance take care of that? Or do you bring in the heavy hitter Lee Botts, who can sweet talk anyone into getting a $1,500 picture free? Talk to me, Lee.
I did not succeed in talking the Chicago Tribune into letting us use that photo, but I remembered the photo because in the 1960s, when the environmental movement was emerging, that photo alone was one of the greatest inspirations for the organized effort that emerged to work to save the environment here at the south end of Lake Michigan and ultimately throughout the whole Great Lakes and beyond. And I've even, we can't go into any detail about these, but I've even had several experiences when I've been asked to go to Lake Baikal in Russia, to Kiev, and elsewhere abroad to tell people about our experience with the Great Lakes and the Indiana Dunes.
Kim.
Yes.
Labor of Love, you are the director. What made you get into the field that you're in? You know, this isn't just your average occupation, okay? This isn't flipping burgers. This isn't teaching in a classroom. This is something beyond that. When did you know that you were going to be doing this calling?
Wow, it's hard to know exactly. There was a lot of things that I think led me here. When I was a kid, my parents took me camping all the time. We went, I'm from Kentucky originally, and we went camping at state parks. And I do remember a state park ranger there, kind of being friends with our family and kind of thinking, wow, that would be a cool, fun job. But didn't quite see myself, I didn't think I had the science background when I was in high school and college. And so I went into photography. And so that was my calling originally. But I always loved nature photography. And so after college, I did a Peace Corps stint, and so kind of decided that I wanted to be more of get involved in education and community development. And then my path actually led me here to Indiana Dunes, and they needed someone with some photography skills. And I was able to get on here. So it was a lot of different things that brought me here, but I kind of feel like all of them kind of converged here on the South Shore of Lake Michigan.
So you didn't do lazy camping, you did real camping,
Oh,
did you?
right, yes.
So you didn't take electricity
tents.
with you
No,
in video games. You actually did some camping.
Yes,
Got to hide
I
your
did.
food from the bears.
Well, yeah, there weren't too many bears at that time in Kentucky, in that area, but there was, we were in tents and did I remember lots of storms and things down there.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. It was a great childhood memory.
Lee Botts, are you satisfied with the outcome of Shifting Sands?
Yes, I'm very excited, and I'm really excited about the interest that's already been demonstrated in it. And with the help of the National Park Service and this television station, we are launching it in celebration of the United States Earth Day.
Yes.
But it is also going to be shown later this year at the Chicago Botanic Garden up on the North Shore on International Environment Day. And in between, it will be shown at the Field Museum.
Oh.
And we anticipate that it will be very widely viewed.
Oh, you're screening this movie everywhere. Pat, you excited?
Very much.
Labor
so.
of Love.
Labor of Love.
You know, are
Very
you glad it's
excited.
over?
Yes.
So we're going to be watching the final edit
Yes.
on television. And when you watch that final edit, what are you going to do right after you watch it?
Probably have a drink.
That sounds great.
Me too.
That sounds great. That sounds great. You know, I'm excited about Earth Day. A few years ago, I used to think that Earth Day was a ridiculous sort of thing to celebrate. But now I understand. I'm trying to recycle more. I'm trying to have more respect for the environment. I'm trying to reuse more. I'm trying to give away things instead of throw away things that someone else may be able to use, but I'm not using anymore. And I'm trying to get out to parks and lakefronts more. You know, that's what it's all about, enjoying those lakefronts and those parks, you know. Yes?
Another thing that is happening that was a major inspiration for this film is the degree of restoration of natural areas that is occurring in Northwest Indiana, and who is doing the restoration. It's not just the agencies responsible for the restoration. There are increasingly partnerships between cities and towns and other governments and industry.
This is good.
And the citizens.
I'm loving this. Lee Bots, I could talk to you for hours, but you know what? The best things in life are free, Lee Bots. So enjoy your lake shores and parks. Thanks to my guests, Pat Wisniewski, Lee Bots, Kim Swift, Michael Thomas, and Melanie Moore for joining me at the CounterPoint. Call 844-777-9311. Tweet me at GerardMC and comment on Facebook.com/CounterPointGerard. Hey, I need you to stay positive, keep your head up, and always be encouraged to voice your counterpoint. Have a great week and a great Earth Day.